Well, hello, everyone. Welcome back to another Bible reading here today. I hope you had a wonderful weekend and happy Monday. We're so glad that you're starting your Monday off the right way with the Word of God. So we are excited to dive in here. Thankfully, I'm excited here. A little shorter reading than the last time I read the world's longest chapter in the book of Numbers. But here we go. We're going to dive in. We are starting here on Monday, March 8th, which is day 67, with Numbers chapter 10, verse 1, the silver trumpets. Now the Lord said to Moses, "Make 2 trumpets of hammered silver for calling the community to assemble for signaling the breaking of camp. When both trumpets are blown, everyone must gather before you at the entrance of the tabernacle. But if only one trumpet is blown, then only the leaders, the heads of the clans of Israel, must present themselves to you. When you sound the signal to move on, the tribes camped on the east side of the tabernacle must break camp and move forward. When you sound the signal a second time, the tribes camped on the south will follow. You must sound short blast as the signal for moving on. But when you call the people to assembly, blow the trumpets with a different signal. Only the priests, Aaron's descendants, are allowed to blow the trumpets. This is a permanent law for you to be observed from generation to generation. When you arrive in your own land and go to war against your enemies who attack you, sound the alarm with the trumpets. Then the Lord your God will remember you and rescue you from your enemies. Blow the trumpets in times of gladness, too, sounding them at your annual festivals and at the beginning of each month, and blow the trumpets over your burnt offerings and peace offerings. The trumpets will remind your God of his covenant with you. I am the Lord, your God." The Israelites leave Sinai. In the second year after Israel's departure from Egypt, on the 20th day of the second month, the cloud lifted from the tabernacle of the covenant. So the Israelites set out from the wilderness of Sinai and traveled on from place to place until the cloud stopped in the wilderness of Paran. Then the people set out for the first time, following the instructions of the Lord had given through Moses. Judah's troops led the way. They marched behind their banner, and their leader was Nahshon, son of Amminadab. They were joined by the troops of the tribe of Issachar, led by Nathaniel, son of Zoar, and the troops of the tribe of Zebulun, led by Eliab, son of Helon. Then the tabernacle was taken down, and the Gershonite and Merarite divisions of the Levites were next in the line of the march. Carrying the tabernacle with them, Reuben's troops went next, marching behind their banner. Their leader was Elazar, son of Shadur. They were joined by the troops of the tribe of Simeon, led by Shelumiel, son of Jehoshaphat, and the troops of the tribe of Gad, led by Eliasaph, son of Duel. Next came the Kohathite division of the Levites, carrying the sacred objects from the tabernacle. Before they arrived at the next camp, the tabernacle would already be set up at its new location. Ephraim's troops went next, marching behind their banner. Their leader was Eliashama, son of Amminahab. They were joined by the troops of the tribe of Manasseh, led by Gamaliel, son of Pedazur, and the troops of the tribe of Benjamin, led by Abidan, son of Gideoni. Dan's troops went last, marching behind their banner and serving as the rear guard for all the tribal camps. Their leader was Ahizur, son of Ammishaddai. They were joined by the troops of the tribe of Asher, led by Pagiel, son of Ochran, and the troops of the tribe of Naphtali, led by Ahira, son of Enan. This was the order in which the Israelites marched, division by division. One day Moses said to his brother-in-law, Hobab, son of Reuel the Midianite, "We are on our way to the place the Lord promised us." For he said, "I will give it to you. Come with us, and we will treat you well, for the Lord has promised wonderful blessings for Israel." But Hobab replied, "No, I will not go. I must return to my own land and my family." "Please don't leave us," Moses pleaded. "You know the places in the wilderness where we should camp. Come, be our guide. If you do, we'll share with you all the blessings the Lord gives us." They marched for 3 days after leaving the mountain of the Lord, with the ark of the Lord's covenant moving ahead of them to show them where to stop and rest. As they moved on each day, the cloud of the Lord hovered over them, and whenever the ark set out, Moses would shout, "Arise, O Lord, and let your enemies be scattered. Let them flee before you." And when the ark was set down, he would say, "Return, O Lord, to the countless thousands of Israel." Chapter 11. The people complain to Moses. Soon the people began to complain about their hardship, and the Lord heard everything they said. Then the Lord's anger blazed against them, and he sent a fire to rage among them, and he destroyed some of the people in the outskirts of the camp. Then this people screamed to Moses for help, and when he prayed to the Lord, the fire stopped. After that, the area was known as Taberah, which means the place of burning, because fire from the Lord had burned among them there. Then the foreign rabble who were traveling with the Israelites began to crave the good things of Egypt. And the people of Israel also began to complain. "Oh, for some meat," they explained. "We remember the fish we used to eat for free in Egypt. And we had all the cucumbers and melons, leeks, onions, and garlic we wanted. But now our appetites are gone. All we ever see is this manna." The manna looked like small coriander seeds, and it was pale yellow like gum resin. The people would go out and gather it from the ground. They made flour by grinding with the hand mills or pounding it in mortars. Then they boiled it in a pot and made it into flat cakes. These cakes tasted like pastries baked with olive oil. The manna came down in the camp with dew during the night. Moses heard all the families standing in the doorways of their tents whining, and the Lord became extremely angry. Moses was also very aggravated. And Moses said to the Lord, "Why are you treating me, your servant, so harshly? Have mercy on me. What did I do to deserve the burden of all these people? Did I give birth to them? Did I bring them into the world? Why did you tell me to carry them in my arms like a mother carries a nursing baby? How can I carry them to the land you swore to give their ancestors? Where am I supposed to get meat for all these people? They keep whining to me, saying, 'Give us meat to eat.' I can't carry all these people by myself. The load is far too heavy. If this is how you intend to treat me, just go ahead and kill me. Do me a favor and spare me this misery." Moses chooses 70 leaders. Then the Lord said to Moses, "Gather before me 70 men who are recognized as elders and leaders of Israel. Bring them to the tabernacle to stand there with you. I will come down and talk to you there. I will take some of the Spirit that is upon you, and I will put the Spirit upon them also. They will bear the burden of the people along with you, so you will not have to carry it alone. And say to the people, 'Purify yourselves, for tomorrow you will have meat to eat.' You were whining, and the Lord heard you when you cried, 'Oh, for some meat, we were better off in Egypt.' Now the Lord will give you meat, and you will have to eat it. And it won't be for just a day or two, or for 5 or 10 or even 20. You will eat it for a whole month until you gag and are sick of it, for you have rejected the Lord who is here among you, and you have whined to him, saying, 'Why did we ever leave Egypt?' But Moses responded to the Lord, 'There are 600,000 foot soldiers here with me, and yet you say I will give them meat for a whole month? Even if we butchered all of our flocks and herds, would that satisfy them? Even if we caught all the fish in the sea, will that be enough?' Then the Lord said to Moses, 'Has my arm lost its power? Now you will see whether or not my word comes true.'" We will pause there and pick up that story tomorrow. But it's so interesting. That first 15 verses of Numbers chapter 11. I mean, anybody who's been in leadership knows at times what it's like to be in a place like Moses was in. But I love chapters like this of how we have a God who not only listens to us and hears us, but also understands with us and can relate with us. And he's in that. We can talk to God. We can pray in a serious and a real way and saying, "Why, God? Why is this?" And the Lord will be there with us. And I love that. I love that so much. I think there's a lot of reasons. There's a lot of reasons for us to be, in a uniform way of how we talk to the Lord for some times, but there's a lot of reasons for us at other times to just be able to approach the Lord in the realness of us, in our imperfection, in our weakness, in our frustration, because the Lord understands, and Jesus understands. All right, so we are skipping ahead to Mark chapter 14. Mark 14, starting with verse 1. Jesus anointed at Bethany. It was now 2 days before Passover and the festival of the unleavened bread. The leading priests and the teachers of religious law were still looking for an opportunity to capture Jesus secretly and to kill him. But not during the Passover celebration, they agreed, or the people may riot. Yeah, that's an important thing. Meanwhile, Jesus was in Bethany at the home of Simon, a man who had previously had leprosy. While he was eating, a woman came in with a beautiful alabaster jar of expensive perfume made from essence of nard. She broke open the jar and poured the perfume over his head. Some of those at the table were indignant. "Why waste such expensive perfume?" they asked. It could have been sold for a year's wages and the money given to the poor. So they scolded her harshly. But Jesus replied, "Leave her alone. Why criticize her for doing such a good thing to me? You will always have the poor among you, and you can help them whenever you want to, but you will not always have me. She has done what she could and has anointed my body for burial ahead of time. I tell you the truth, wherever the good news is preached throughout the world, this woman's deed will be remembered and discussed." Judas agrees to betray Jesus. Then Judas Iscariot, one of the 12 disciples, went to the leading priests to arrange to betray Jesus to them. They were delighted when they heard why he had come, and they had promised to give him money. So he began looking for an opportunity to betray Jesus. The Last Supper. On the first day of the festival of unleavened bread, when the Passover lamb is sacrificed, Jesus' disciples asked him, "Where do you want us to go to prepare the Passover meal for you?" So Jesus sent 2 of them into Jerusalem with these instructions. "As you go into the city, a man carrying a pitcher of water will meet you. Follow him. At the house he enters, say to the owner, 'The teacher asks, where is the guest room where I can eat the Passover meal with my disciples?' He will take you upstairs to a large room that is already set up. That is where you should prepare our meal." So the 2 disciples went into the city and found everything just as Jesus had said, and they prepared the Passover meal there. In the evening, Jesus arrived with the 12. As they were at the table eating, Jesus said, "I tell you the truth, one of you eating with me here will betray me." Greatly distressed, each one asked in turn, "Am I the one?" He replied, "It is one of you 12 who is eating from this bowl with me, for the Son of Man must die, as the Scriptures declared long ago. But how terrible it will be for the one who betrays him. It would be far better for that man if he had never been born." As they were eating, Jesus took some bread and blessed it. Then he broke it in pieces and gave it to the disciples, saying, "Take it, for this is my body." And he took a cup of wine, and he gave thanks to God for it. He gave it to them, and they all drank from it. All right, we are going to pause there. Should have stopped at verse 21, but that's all right. Got a little bit of communion. All right, Psalm 51. A good psalm, that's for sure. Psalm 51 we are reading today, verses 1 through 19. Psalm 51 says, it's for the choir director, a psalm of David regarding the time that Nathan the prophet came to him after David had committed adultery with Bathsheba. Have mercy on me, O God, because of your unfailing love. Because of your great compassion, blot out the stain of my sins. Wash me clean from my guilt. Purify me from my sin. For I recognize my rebellion. It haunts me day and night. Against you and you alone have I sinned. I have done what is evil in your sight. You will be proved right in what you say, and your judgment against me is just. For I was born a sinner, yes, from the moment my mother conceived me, but you desire honesty from the womb, teaching me wisdom even there. Purify me from my sins, and I will be clean. Wash me, and I will be whiter than snow. Oh, give me back my joy again. You have broken me, now let me rejoice. Don't keep looking at my sins. Remove the stain of my guilt. Create in me a clean heart, O God. Renew a loyal spirit within me. Do not banish me from your presence, and don't take your Holy Spirit from me. Restore to me the joy of your salvation, and make me willing to obey you. Then I will teach your ways to rebels, and they will return to you. Forgive me for shedding blood, O God, who saves me. Then I will joyfully sing of your forgiveness. Unseal my lips, O Lord, that my mouth may praise you. You do not desire a sacrifice, or I would offer one. You do not want a burnt offering. The sacrifice you desire is a broken spirit. You will not reject a broken and repentant heart. O God, look with favor on Zion and help her rebuild the walls of Jerusalem. Then you will be pleased with sacrifices offered in the right spirit, with burnt offerings and whole burnt offerings. Then bulls will again be sacrificed on your altar. And lastly, we have Proverbs chapter 10, verses 31 through 32. It says, the mouth of the godly person gives wise advice, but the tongue that deceives will be cut off. The lips of the godly speak helpful words, but the mouth of the wicked speaks perverse words. All right, so that's our reading for today. I want to touch on two things. One, while it's still kind of fresh in our mind, we have Psalm 51, which is one of the most famous psalms out there, and it's written from a time of just pure anguish and guilt in David. He just committed adultery with Bathsheba. He just had Bathsheba's husband be murdered. He tried to cover it up and he tried to hide his steps, and then a prophet of the Lord named Nathan came in and was like, yo, you are an evil, wicked man whom should probably die for what you committed. And we see this psalm be written in that moment, in that heart's position. And one of the things that I think is beautiful about this psalm in particular is I would challenge you, if you haven't done this, read this psalm and look at the way that David talks to the Lord. It's have mercy on me, O God, because of your unfailing love, because of your great compassion, blot out the stain of my sins. It's this understanding that David goes to the Lord with, and it's all throughout the entire chapter here. It's all throughout it. It's this understanding of who God is and what David's sin is. And yet David is able to put into words, he's able to proclaim the goodness of the Lord and be repentant of heart and understand the Lord's forgiveness all together, all at once, as he's writing this. And I think that's a really important place, because what he did was horrible. What he did was absolutely horrible. And for us, I almost guarantee everybody listening to this did not do something to the extent that David did. What he did was awful, but yet he was able to understand his position when it came with the Lord. He was not a castaway. He was not somebody who was just lost and just thrown away and just a piece of garbage that will never be used again. No, he understood his place. And though he was unworthy of the grace and the mercy of the Lord, he understood that the Lord is good and the Lord is compassionate. And I think that's one of the most beautiful things about Psalm 51. And then we have this short little section about the jar of perfume and the expensive perfume. And I think it's really interesting just how, the others were looking at it and like, why waste such expensive perfume? And then they got all holy on them, right? They got all like good works based here. It would be a really easy, way to look at it. They're like, you know how much you could have sold that and given the money to the poor? You know how many poor people you could have helped with that? And Jesus's response was kind of beautiful, as it always is, right? He says, leave her alone. Why criticize her for doing such a good thing to me? You will always have the poor among them, or among you. And then I think this is Jesus calling out their fakeness here. He says, and you can help them whenever you want. So if you can help the poor whenever you want, that probably means that you are in the very position where you're wasting money on things that you could easily just be giving it to the poor. So you're judging this woman for worshiping me and blessing me and anointing me with this oil. You're judging her for that process and claiming, well, you could do so much more with this. And yet, what are you doing with what you have? And I think that's a place where Christians find themselves in a lot. And at the end of the day, the surface level things of what you do not matter. It's what your heart is, and it's how you worship the Lord. That's the most important thing. What are you giving to God? Because we should be giving to God our heart, our time, our effort, our love, our money, our whatever. We should be giving God our first fruits, and man comes second. That's the most important thing. Don't get caught in pleasing the ways of man. Please the Lord first with everything that you can do. So those are my quick little thoughts. And then real quick, I'll read our closing little devotion, and we'll be off to a great Monday. It says, for March 8th, the surrendered life. Are we willing to surrender our grasp on all that we possess, our desires, and everything else in our lives? Are we ready to be identified with the death of Jesus Christ? Make a determination to go on through the crisis, surrendering all that you have and all that you are to Him. And God will then equip you to do all that He requires of you. I have been crucified with Christ, says Galatians 2:20. I love that verse. Surrender it all. I mean, that's exactly what we read. That's exactly what we've learned. Surrender it all to Him first, to God first. All right, everybody, thank you so much for joining us here. I hope you have a wonderful Monday and a wonderful week. And we will be praying for you, and we will see you right here on the Broken Podcast tomorrow.